Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Woohoo! Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's so cute. I should get a pre-recording of Liam when he does that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the. Looks like we're live on YouTube, so that's good to see. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. Just another manic Monday. I saw Benjamin posted a nice comment there on the broiler chicken show yesterday. I suppose I was a little bit flustered with the charts yesterday, so I was dropping F-bombs all over the place. Maybe that's why they downvoted me, Benjamin, but thanks for your your defense. Anyway, so we did about an hour and a half review, and it was a good broiler chicken show yesterday, in that really wanted to sort of, dovetail what the level oneers are doing right now, and all the talk about fear, greed cycles, and long-term demographics, and all that kind of stuff. And I guess to that end, Joshua actually gave me a shout yesterday and said, you had mentioned in that daily brief that you wanted to be able to look at Bitcoin and gold versus the Dow. And Joshua helped me put together this chart, which I thought was really cool. So here is the gold versus the Dow long-term demographic cycles through the 1980 peak. And here is Bitcoin and gold versus the Dow versus our current peak. So it's kind of a fun study to keep in mind. Excuse me. Does the morphification of Bitcoin as a digital gold proxy in this space, does it, the combined effects to the two, did it paint our Q3 2017 pivot there in the fear cycle? I think it did, but only time will tell, of course. Interesting start to the video here today, but I thought I'd just mention that. So let's do what we're supposed to do here. So we've got, of course, the Duke of Albuquerque driving the bus this morning, making sure we stay on the road. Kevin's on the call this morning. How you doing this morning, Kevin?
I'm doing good, thanks. Good to see everybody. Happy Monday.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you're doing good. And it is Monday, and we like to do just a nice site update. How's the progress of TRI's developer cycle going? So we've got Sjord on the call this morning. How you doing this morning, Sjord?
Hey Brian, I'm fine. I'm counting stacks because I'm heading to the casino later today.
All right. I did notice your audio is a little bit choppy here, so my apologies on YouTube if it sounds a bit funny. But we'll try and get through this as best as we can. And also too, as kind of a fun treat for the site, and I'm always challenging our more advanced students to keep refining your tool set, keep refining your market observations, and the whole sort of 1 + 1 = 3 kind of idea. Let's all work together and find trade ideas. So we've launched an experiment here, and I'd love to get the site feedback as we sort of go through this. No, that's not the screen I wanted. Where's the screen I wanted? I guess it's this screen. We have the Down Under report put together by our Australian crew. This was done a few days ago, but on balance, I like just lots of different perspectives, lots of different ideas, and views. And of course, those people in the beginning of the course, keep in mind Johnny Salmon, who did the Down Under report. He he was just exactly like all of you beginners just a little while ago. So it just goes to show what your sort of evolutionary path should be at TRI. So we've got a few things to look forward to. If I understand correctly, Sjord said he's got to get off to the casino because he's got a big stack of coins that he wants to burn. But I think that's actually referring to crypto, but I'm not quite sure. But Sjord, if you're up for it, we could do you first and let you get off to the casino. If you're interested, are you there, Sjord? Oh boy. Now we have no microphone from Sjord. Sjord, are you there? There's Sjord.
Let's try it. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, there you go. All right. He's
Okay.
here.
I will switch the microphone.
Do we want to share a screen? What is it? What would you like to show these people?
Well, I just would like to start off with saying that the casino is against you, right? So I'm just going there for fun.
Indeed.
So it's a terrible risk-reward ratio. Let me share my screen. So I quickly wanted to touch base on Bitcoin. And in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I also want to touch base on the development. So today I had a terrible development day because my development environment crashed. And the progress that I made today is basically that it's all working again, and it's the same as where I left off this morning. But for the development of the site, I hope that everything came together last week. That didn't happen, so I'm now aiming this week for sure. And what's cool is that because of the school, I've been postponing some live updates. So those will go live all at once this week. And then we really should have the sector graph going, and we should have some screener results going again. We are also integrating with a different data provider. Currently, we're using Quandl, and we're switching to a different one because of some, well, it's a bit cheaper and they have more data. So in the future for site development, that will be a better data provider for us. So I don't have really much to tell you guys about development. There's some ideas that we're playing around with, and I really like the input of you guys. So for example, this week, one of our level 1 students, he also said, well, what would be really cool is to have a voice chat, so like a trading pit. And this is an idea that keeps coming up, so I've put it on the backlog again. So one day I think we should have an audio trading pit. That would be really cool, just to spend the day, during the day, to have a nice hangout with microphones linked to the website. But okay, so that's basically it for the site update. Not much to tell there, but I wanted to touch base on Bitcoin. And because I know some people like my input, so I want to just keep that going on Mondays. And what I'm seeing here basically is isn't that good. So you can see the RSI trending down here. And for the ones who have been following my updates a bit, you know that I especially pay attention when we cross down the midsection and we cross up the midsection of the RSI midline of my Bollinger Bands. And this week as well, we crossed down to 0 for the MACD. And this happens on the daily time frame. But I mean, if I go back to the 4 hour, I see the same big fat M on the RSI, cross down, try to recover back up, and then cross down again. And the same with the MACD, it couldn't recapture above the 0 line. Then on the 1 hour, I basically also see the same thing. The RSI is trending down, and it crossed down the midsection. So Bitcoin for me, I'm not that positive anymore as I was a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, we were waiting on that buy signal that really never actually formed very well. And now there are basically sell signals everywhere. So there was room to take some short setups today. I haven't been taking any shorts on Bitcoin. I just keep following my dollar cost averaging plan and not trading Bitcoin. But I'm watching it from the sidelines and monitoring how this develops. Personally, I'm having more fun on the Dutch indies, and of course they follow the American indices and other the Chinese and Asian indices. But it's pretty cool to see um, the kill zones at work and also the nice structure that I have here. So I'm trading this on the 15-minute, and on Friday I entered this at the breakdown of that M here, and you see the trade has been developing. And today I kind of wanted to go out at this point, but I need to journal myself that I failed following my plan, and I kind of stretched my target. So I've been stretching my target to a big gap fill that I think we should get there. And at the same time, I've moved my stop that isn't visible here, but I've moved my stop to this gap. So I'm already in a winning position, and I won't let it turn into a loser. But I should journal that I didn't follow my plan today. Boo boo shoot boo boo. So that's it for the Dutch update.
All right, that's some fine market material, and actually we got two updates from you. We got Bitcoin and the Dutch stock market, and our European brethren would probably appreciate a quick boo at the European markets. We don't look at them too closely, so.
No, I plan on doing that a bit more, and I also want to show a bit more to our members how I'm trading the market.
Yeah.
So the reason for this here, for example, was the big M that came in the price, and then we also had the RSI that was trending down. Then the M in the RSI crossing down the bottom line and flipping to the MACD negative again. Well, we couldn't recapture the positive side, so that's were my reasons to take this trade.
Sounds like to me like we got the potential for an algo signal here, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I guess so. And I find that I'm kind of settling on this setup at the moment. So yeah, there will be definitely a Dutch-made screen around these signals.
Excellent. And if it works 66% of the time, hell, I'll even subscribe to your newsletter. Okay, thank you very much, Sjord. Totally appreciate that. Good information. I think obviously today is all about Bakkt. So we've been waiting forever for this event to finally happen. And lo and behold, let's see, what am I screen sharing here? I just got to make sure I'm showing the right thing. There we go. I think I'm screen sharing. Just gotta make sure it shows on YouTube, but I just want to make sure you guys in the lounge see this. Yeah. So this is, it's been long anticipated, and of course, if you go to Kevin's crypto news aggregating site, which I really like, I think this is an excellent resource. We get sort of a nice overview of what the public are sort of thinking, and talking heads and all that kind of stuff, and you can see that Bakkt is dominating the news headline this morning. When we actually, the irony of it all is when we actually look at the event, is this just an absolute overwhelming flood of participation? Well, as you can see, last time I updated this, it traded a grand total of 53 Bitcoins. Dun, dun, dun. And we're still sitting at 53 Bitcoins. So it hasn't moved a heck of a lot. I actually get this sort of feeling, call me crazy, but it's 53 since last night, eh? All right. I guess, let's see, I'll get into Bitcoin in a moment. Just a broader market, risk on, risk off. It sure looks to me like the risk off assets are all catching a bid overnight here. And in a weird sort of way, this is kind of what we've been talking about for the past week or two. I guess the cash and, like the Bitcoin on the CME contract, that's what this is tracking. No, I beg your pardon, this is Stamp. It seems to be coming off on this, but I wonder whether maybe this is a sell the rumor, and now the event has happened by the news. We'll see how that goes. One thing that sort of jumped out at me that was slightly encouraging, although I see it being taken back, is the OKCoin forwards markets kind of jumped up on the event. You know, the listing, and it's alive, candle dumped, created a massive tail, and then worked its way back up, I suppose. And we sort of talked about this on the you know, the daily chart, wherever the hell it is. It's around here somewhere. Here, where you know, had we when we hammered out here, had we ticked up through the highs, that actually would have been a reversal signal. But you can see we came in, put in an inside bar failure, and we continue working our way lower. Here is another tail. Obviously off of the 1 hours, that's a little bit too fast for us to like call this is the bottom kind of stuff. But it was encouraging to see that on that sort of New York opening event dump, you can see that's right through the New York kill zone. Bit of a trap, and again, same sort of conversation as that higher time frame chart. We could have potentially gotten a reversal signal had we ticked back up through this hammer bar high. But just like that daily chart, and basically what Sjord is saying here, is the bear still seems to be dominating. And a loss of that inside bars level off of the hourly charts means that this is the malaise is continuing here. But I was very interested to see, you can see a very noticeable OBV divergence. You don't see that very often. It was also a confirmed OBV divergence. You can see we technically through this actually spat up. And the thing here is that as this candle was happening, price was dumping. This was red, and of course it was all pointing down, and then at the very last minute it perked up here, so, and confirmed things like these OBV and price momentum bottoms. But I don't know whether that was really even a tradable Davo, because it was, you know, first off that this reversal was this candle, and then we got no follow through on the other side. But you know, having said that, I was encouraged to see price made a lower low. But things like OBV and even our momentum indicator here, Willie, the heavily modified Williams percentage R, actually put in, the OBV actually put in a divergence. That's confirmed. This is still very potential. And if we look at things like RSI, we can see we never really got anything definitive reversal-wise here. But you can see that potential divergence potentially forming. Potential divergence potentially forming. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. There certainly aren't any buy signals here. It's just a question of was this event sort of the end of the down move, and now we have to sort of wait for some sort of structural turn back up. I guess one of the reasons why I went down this vein looking at OKCoin this morning is I pulled up the forwards first thing this morning. And I noticed they all seem to be trying to. Now, you know, as time goes by, I guess we might, you know, keep in mind this is 6-hour chart. But we were actually trying to W out here on things like Ethereum. You can see Litecoin is still pretty strong here. And Bitcoin's trying desperately to hold on to its little mini breakout here. So for now, the spreads are still poised positively. We'd like to see, you know, close, like finish these bars here, confirm these W's. And it's interesting how Litecoin was kind of underperforming there recently, and it actually looks like it's the strongest out of the whole crew here today. Now, like I had said earlier, we have this event. It has happened now. I don't think that we can actually like publicly trade this. because if I understand correctly, and Kevin was sort of telling me that this is really accessible by quote unquote qualified market participants, whatever the hell that means. I think that basically means this is for the 1% only. And it's not listed on TradingView yet. So there's not really anything for us to actually see here, other than the fact that it is now live. Dun, dun, dun. Suppose if anybody finds where this is listed, and maybe we have to do Coinigy or something, we'll keep an eye out for that. So, news-wise, I didn't really see too much other news driving. Actually, I wanted to show that. Driving price here this morning. I did see a lot of sort of kind of chatter, some of these 1%ers. And if anything, I kind of like this talk, which I know sounds kind of weird. There's one guy that is a university professor and big hedge fund manager who says that he will never buy a Bitcoin. And actually, I would actually prefer to see more of that kind of talk. It's rat poison, all that, because that means the price is probably going to go up. If they're all touting all bullishly, then it means that they're long, the long side of the trade is probably pretty heavy. Like lots of this kind of stuff, legendary economist doesn't trust Bitcoin, doesn't understand it, doesn't want to invest in it. Okay, fine. Keep bringing that kind of talk. That, to me, says that the public is getting washed out. I guess this Binance US will get going here in earnest as well. This might be another catalyst for us to keep an eye on. I know somebody in the public asked me to look at the BNB. I don't know whether they're a site member or not. Just for the purposes of today, we can just quickly take a look at it. I didn't really see a very good trade location, so nothing really got too exciting for me. And I still think that it's a good idea to look at your coins versus US dollar, just to see whether there's an actual a currency that's got a solid base. With Bitcoin being as volatile as it is, it's very tough to gauge whether your coin is strong because it's strong or because Bitcoin's weak, or a combination thereof. And so if that person who asked me to look at BNB is part of the site, I would just simply say, we're not even into Mountain Man levels yet here, just off of this range. I can't even start shopping for this thing until we get down into here. And then, you just look at this price chart. Lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market. So I don't see a whole hell of a lot going on here. And if we go A to B and C to D, probably this thing wants to gun its way down into those kind of levels. And then we look back on the chart, and is there any sort of horizontal support and resistance that might sort of validate that? That's obviously a pretty important level. This is an original double bottom right there. So top of the range, right up near Mountain Man against all these kilos. There's a nice juicy tail to be eaten. And then the original double bottom from here is right up against 78.6. I don't, like I said, I know somebody asked me to look at this. I don't know whether it was off of the public show or whether you're a site member. But if you're a site member, hopefully this helps you. But I don't really see anything to be done until we sort of get down into that area there. So, anybody's interested in BNB coin on the site, there's a little reference guide for you. I'll just throw that in the lounge. There it is. So if you're watching there over on YouTube, go and grab that from the lounge. So there's just nothing to do there for me yet. But I wanted to mention the fact that that might act as a bit of a catalyst going forward as well. Other news around the market that I've seen that's catching my attention. It's interesting to see that the French seem to be avoiding the problems that the Germans are in. So here's an interesting situation where the French economy is actually stronger than the German economy. That might last a while, tough to say, but Germany's supposed to be sort of the economic engine of Europe, and that's a pretty bad print there. So it shouldn't surprise anybody to hear more sort of quantitative easing talk out of ECB, and probably my hunch is the euro probably looks pretty weak too. Let's see. U.S. dollar's up a little bit on the day. Euro's down a bit, and I suppose you could argue. Excuse me. New M tops coming in. Previous bearish bots were probably politely told to hop off. Move stop to trailing level on that structural break. You might want to hunt a new bot off of these levels. Boobity boo, boobity boo. See whether you get 3 highs that develop in here. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. As I sort of said a few minutes ago, I noticed that the risk off assets were catching a bit of a bid here this morning. And our risk on versus risk off, where the hell is that? Over here. You can see they're all generally up, and we got some half decent bottoms working on things like gold. Is Bitcoin a risk on, risk off asset? That's always a big debate unto itself. I can see that the oil, and I fully expected after that options expiry from Friday that the oil should come back down. And interestingly enough, we actually have a double top working on the S&Ps, and I've been squawking about how I was looking for a cycle pivot right around the 25th. So that's coming up awfully close here. I think after I'm done talking with you guys, I'm going to try and go and pick up another one of these S&P puts. Because I didn't get filled on Friday, and so I'm actually a little bit behind schedule here. But all in all, I don't really mind the idea of looking for some sort of stock market top here. And I also noticed too that, if Bitcoin is part of that risk on conversation, then we should see Bitcoin come down as well. So that's sort of what I'm seeing happening out of there. So finishing our conversation about the little ones, I've been talking quite a bit about this recently. I wanted to let this trade set up and develop all nice and politely. And you can see, bonds have yet to get up into their magic zone. Lots of gaps up here. And of course, if we have a nice big stock market thumping, that might be sort of the window over the next few weeks that gives these things the opportunity to get up into reload zones and all that kind of stuff. So my interest in wanting to buy shorts on these markets is building, but we're just now slowly working our way up into trade location. And it's interesting because I do have one sort of metal play on the books, and I'm kind of waffling right now. When do I take profits? This thing, PDL, and I fully expect that if the gold rallies up into its reload zone and tops out, that this thing will also top out as yet another metal proxy. You can see we've gotten up into trendline resistance. We have done more than 50%. You can see this trendline here. And then this bad boy here, low to high trendline. Sort of painting a confluence target right up in that sort of 1961, which is a big AB equals CD up into here. And we are well beyond my initial 50% retracement target. So if I see any sort of signs of failure here, I'm just going to walk away from this thing. 50% target there for this trade should have been 1845. So anywhere up in here, if I see sort of signs of failure, I can hop off and still feel fine. But with the gold and the bonds and the yen moving up, and of course, I don't know what palladium itself looks like, but it was kind of cool. Somebody posted cost of production models, so you can see we interesting off of this massive bot. We just hit the move stop to scratch level on that level. So, show me new high and I'll show you buy, all that kind of stuff, right? Blah, blah, blah. This thing still in the short term is pointing higher. But, we're getting up into that area where I'm looking for a top in gold, any kind of sort of M up here, and I'll probably be more than happy just to hop off of that PDO. So, just a little update on that. Nothing really to get too excited about there. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. PDL. Dyslexia. There we are. Nice to see David's T. Somebody just mentioned there a moment ago. Not making a new high this morning, but pushing higher. I don't know what the pot stocks are looking like here today. But I did notice that some really nasty headlines about people dying from the vaping. I don't know whether you guys saw that or not. But turns out that this vaping stuff is we might find down the road that vaping is just as bad for you as smoking. Who knows? But anyway, I don't really see anything really solid to wrap your arms around here in pot stock land. If anything, Tilray just went and M'd out here, so that's got a bit of a bearish pattern working now. And some of these names that were looking very turny have actually gone and broken down here. So David's Tea has sort of a not very, not vape, not actual smoking pot, but, this CBD kind of proxy. I think it's sort of bucking the overall trend because it looks like the overall trend in pot stocks is kind of heavy right now. All right, so that's basically what I'm seeing there. Nothing really to get too excited about. Yeah, just a bunch of wishy-washy. We'll be keeping a really close eye, of course, if Bitcoin poops the bed. We'll be keeping a really close eye on our little recent purchases. The Riot, he's come back down, just flirting with that uptrend line. The Galaxy never really had a bottom working. Still waiting for some sort of signs of bottom. We got one low to work with here. And I think I've said this before. If this thing can turn in here, then it's starting to look interesting. And the Hut. These are all three stocks I would like to try and be in. And of course, you're trying to sneak your way in off the bottom. Where the hell's the Hut? Jabba the Hutt. There it is. Same sort of thing, flirting with disaster. In fact, it looks like Hut even broke to new lows. So that low there's 201, and today's low is $2 even. Oh, that's not good. So more sort of cautionary messages out of crypto stocks here. That actually technically is now an M, right? So, got a cooler jets there. Went and picked up a little bit of this REIT as a nice income proxy. You can see where I bought at the BOD level 688, so just sort of sitting there. And a really good example. Sometimes you zig and you should have zagged. I'm not overly impressed with this lumber stock. And I'm wondering whether maybe I just take my buck or two lump here on the small position I have and just hop off because this is looking a little dangerous now. We'll see how it goes. Sort of humming and hawing. I mean, there's no real great hurry. I didn't put a lot of money into this, and it's for my RSP. But might as well call a spade a spade. This thing's just floundering here right now. KPTI, really good example of why you have to pay yourself when these things hit your levels. Really, I'm on a free position here now, so really, I'm not concerned if this thing has to play around in here. But anybody who's on a weak position and you're humming and hawing about what to do, make damn sure that when you get your double levels hit, you take profits. I did see quite a few people on TRI do that, so that's good. But I could very easily see this thing come back, trade down to the POC, and if it really falls out of bed, there's no reason why it can't come right back down to the lower value here. This MUOC here. So just be cognizant of that, no heads in the sands here. So that's sort of what I see happening in Stockland. It's kind of a market. Nothing really to get too excited about. Nothing to get really too crap your pants about. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to bring to your attention? Yeah, look at these spreads. Litecoin spreads just going crazy here. Actually, why don't we now? Probably a good time to do this. Let's check in with the Australians and good old John. What's his name on the site? Johnny Salmon. That's right. I don't know why I had a name block on that, but Johnny Salmon. As I had said earlier, this is kind of a fun experiment we're going to do, and these guys are down under, so of course they're looking at the market, completely different time frame. But John, and actually we do have one gentleman who is working away on wanting to be an instructor for the level 2 program, and John here wants to add content to the site. So really, this is what I really want to see out of TRI, is that lots and lots of participation. If you feel like you're ready to do a report for this site, awesome. And cut your teeth. Yeah, let TRI be sort of your practice model. And get really, really good at this, and then you can go off and start your own advisory service. So, I would like to get people's site feedback. John himself even says, if you have questions, PM him. But let's take a few minutes and let's listen to what John has to say here today.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Down Under Report. I am John Salmon. 5 minutes. I think we've got 4 ideas here. So a quick look at Bitcoin. What we've got here is a Gann study, which is quite interesting. As you'll see, we've got the 45-degree line right here. We've got horizontal and vertical lines. So we're right in the middle of a convergence point with Gann right now on the Bitcoin Weekly. I've got this trend channel here, which we appear to have broken, and I would just love to see W come in here, just like everyone else. We're stuck right at the 50% range. Here's your reload zones above and below. Volatility is coming out of the market. And if we're looking at the sort of Gann, half the move in half the time, we got 53 bars here to the low. We got 26 bars here to a high. We've now hit half of the 26 bars. We're at the 13 bars. So I'm expecting a move to come in. It may or may not come in, of course. If you move down to the daily, you'll notice that the volatility has come right out of the market. Here's your Bollinger Band width. And I mean, we're at historically low levels on Bollinger Band width. So the last time we had a squeeze this tight was back in March. And as you can see, we've got a resulting move there. Look, on my trend indicator, it's green, and I'm hoping for an upward trend there. In terms of lower timeframes, absolutely nothing to do. There's no volatility in the market whatsoever. You could always just step right up and pick a side on this move. but that's entirely up to yourself. That's not something that I'd be doing. So I'm going to wait for the chart to make the first move, and then I'll be looking to hop in on continuation plays. Moving on, we've got some broader market plays here, which I'm looking at very closely. First one is platinum Japanese yen. So Brian talked about platinum in Friday's daily brief. So I like platinum Japanese yen pair because there's, if you look on the swaps, there's a 58% chance of a rates cut in October for the Bank of Japan. If you look on the Japanese swaps, you can come to that conclusion. Now with platinum, it's a seasonal low on the 4th of October and a seasonal high in May. So we're at the seasonal low point. The other interesting thing is if you pull up a platinum COT report, you'll find that there was a market reset on this weekly W that's come in. So that's looking pretty good sort of both ways. The chart itself, Brian mentioned we've got a bot in play. Myself, I'm looking for a harmonic to be established on a retest of first stop. I would be entering on the harmonic. I'd be just hitting that 88.6 butterfly level. I'd be risking to this little support level down here. I'd be risking just below there. My first exit would be a 2-to-1 to Mountain Man. Next exit would be the ABCD completion. That might take until May to play out, but I think that's a great trade to be looking at. Next one we've got is oil futures, and you could probably play this on the CFD markets if you wanted to. So, here's the first move we've got. For my harmonic setup, I've got to have some green bars here, and I've got to be going with the trend. So the green bars is simply really overbought, really oversold. So green bars for me, I need to be looking to get long on a bounce below. So in this particular instance, we've got almost a textbook Gartley opportunity here. So I'm going to be just hitting that level. If we get a push down on low volatility, I'll be hitting, on low volume, I'll definitely be hitting that level. The divergences will be coming in at that stage. If we get a push down on high volume, I'm not sure if I'll take that play. We got an A, B, C to D here. All things considered with oil, I still think that we can move higher in light of global events at the moment. I think I've got one more idea here. I've got British pound, Canadian dollar. So we've got some market tops coming in here. We've got what I would regard as a pretty strong downtrend through this space down here. As you can see, I'm already on this trade. It's a paper trade. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a harmonic on a bounce. So I don't want to take a harmonic. I don't want to call a bottom of a market when we've got such a strong trend here. I'm not one to call bottoms. So I'm looking for a strong trend. I'm looking for a bounce back to first stop, which is exactly what we have here. We have a bounce back to 38.2. So I've hopped in there. I'm happy with the strong downtrend. I'm not too worried about this green bar here. If we get multiple green bars, then I'm going to try and get out at scratch. The fundamental reason, of course, is Brexit. My ultimate target's the ABCD completion here. And you've got a reasonably clean harmonic setup there. So that's my ideas for this week. Looking at alts, they look very, very interesting. Of course, Bitcoin, as I said, there's just nothing to do until volatility comes into the market. So thanks very much for your time. And if you'd like to hear more from me, please reach out on the site. Back to you, Brian.
All right, that was kind of fun. You can all adjust your volumes. Now maybe I should talk quietly as you adjust your volumes. But kind of different. We're always experimenting. We're always trying new things. And if you all want to, in unison, I got a bunch of PMs. Can't hear. Sounds too low. So maybe we'll put a pool together and buy Johnny a new microphone or something for him. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Some food for thought, and maybe go back and watch the video again at a little bit slower speed to try and see what his levels. But some interesting food for thought for you there for this morning. Okay, the only other thing that I was going to add to the conversation here today, and then I think we'll probably send you guys on your way, is I absolutely love, 1 + 1 = 3, all that kind of conversation. Us working together on the site to try and find ideas. Like I said, John there gave you a few things to chew on. And one gentleman I have to give a big shout out to, and I love seeing this in people. It's kind of like when the teacher teaches a young child a new thing. I remember when I was a tennis teacher, same sort of thing. Just the excitement in people's eyes and students' eyes when they sort of get a new concept and then they just run with the ball. Here's, I think, an excellent idea that one of our students and site members came up with while I was in the middle of class. I even said here, half the reason why I built this site is simply I don't have enough eyes. So here is Nikos Lee, an idea that he found. Do your own due diligence. Obviously, I like to sit here and tell you what to do. I don't want robots on the site. But if you are interested in the stock market, this is definitely a name I would give some serious consideration to. The good part about this morning is that the stock backed off, so it never did break out. I was worried that this thing was going to gap higher this morning and just leave us behind. So as you can see, I've set my alerts here. Basically, I can buy on a stop on a move through to 417 on this stock. And hopefully, everything that you see in the education programs and stuff that we do on this site, my overbought, oversold indicator did go oversold. You can see the bullish divergence that came in here. It's kind of waffling right now, but on balance, feeling pretty positive about the divergence. And if we look at our little volume studies, you can see how the OBV is trying to turn back up here as well. So we're getting one of these sort of what I would consider relatively asymmetrical risk, basically looking to buy this W and looking for a move back to the 50% level, which in essence is a 3.7 risk reward. I mean, just fantastic numbers. And then, sort of our level oneers, you will do this in a couple weeks, but looking at the fundamentals here, this number, this stock is just beautiful. I would like to see a little bit more insider participation, and 6% is not bad. I mean, considering there's only 5 million shares out, you wonder how much they had to float just to get people, get this thing going. But in essence, I guess about 250,000 locked up, 300,000 locked up by insiders. The amount of product that they're actually selling here is huge. I mean, just dramatic. $90 million in sales, and it's only got a $23 million market cap. I do like the fact that the earnings numbers are positive, which means they're not really going to dip into the remaining cash. And these earnings increases, these are like can slim numbers. EPS growth this year 100%, EPS growth next year 900%. Ay caramba. EPS growth quarter over quarter 600% increase. I mean, just really, really dramatic numbers. And it's interesting to see how the street is still looking for $8 a share on this thing. So, I'm constantly hunting, constantly fishing, constantly, looking for new ideas. And frankly speaking, this one's, if you do play the stock market, this thing's just sitting on a silver platter. It hasn't broken out yet, so, it's not like you've missed the bus. But I can absolutely tell you, trade at 418, I'm long. So, there's interesting ideas in the stock market for you to consider here. I'm always wanting to bring new ideas for you to chew over. I mean, even if you just paper trade this, I want to see how this plays out. I think this is something that's definitely it has my attention, no doubt about it. Over on crypto, I thought it was kind of funny. The only name that I touted a couple names on sort of the weekend show, and I don't know what the fundamental story is here, but I really do like the look of this chart. Nice little double bottom here, and even a little bit of cup and handle type action. And I like the fact that, even though the rest of the market's kind of this guy here is trying to hold on to his breakout. So, whether it be the stock market, you're interested in ideas, or whether it be crypto, you're interested in hunting ideas. I think this is a stock pickers market. I think, just blindly buying stock indexes and looking for like 20-30% annualized returns. I don't think we're in that kind of market right now. And individual stock ideas. I think that there is money to be made there, kind of like that Java. And at the same time, too, I actually think that this is a coin pickers market as well. And if you can find ideas that have half-decent technical setups running, I mean, I'm sure if we, I don't know, but let's go take a look. Oh, yeah, what a coincidence. You can see beautiful bull divs. Willie did go stupid. Looks like we got OBV and we've got volume ramping up here. This volume bar high was 29 million. Here we've done 35 million. So we've got nice trending OBV here. So there are ideas out there. There are interesting names. And if anybody can actually find me what the fundamental story is behind this thing, I'd love to hear it. And as well, too, I still think that this is the kind of market where you should take a look at, try and, value your token based off of US dollars to try and help you see whether there's actually a real solid floor. I'd actually be just curious. Let's see what this thing looks like versus Bitcoin. Let's see what we got. Okay, well, you can see the double bottom in Bitcoin price as well. I mean, it's a little bit late. Maybe don't chase this thing, but if you are interested in participating, work your stink bids. You could reloads on this. You could just buy the double bottom. It's up to you. But all in all, there are some really interesting little ideas out there in the cryptoverse. All right. Let's see. So we did talk a little bit about BNB right at the beginning, so we did give you sort of an overview of that. Also did talk to you a little bit about, especially for level oneers, and I think I even posted in this lounge. I think all level oneers should add this to their sort of tool belt. We talked about the stock market, talked about all those fear greed proxies. Yeah, I think we're done. So all in all, I still think that we're probably going to do this AB equals CD, but what I actually think is going to happen here is we're just going to ride along this trend line from the top side. So, as Stuart sort of pointed out, the internals don't really look that encouraging here right now. You could even make an argument of things like the line chart. There's a heck of a lot of M's. There's just M's everywhere, no W's at all. So we have to wait for the W's to start coming in before we can start getting bullish again. All right, so there is your daily brief for Monday morning. Is there anything that we missed? I remember, Kevin, I asked you to remind me to talk about something. What was that? Are you still here, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm still here. Today you asked me?
Yeah. There was something I said, okay, just remind me before we finish the video just to make sure to talk about it, but I think I covered everything.
Yeah, just Jan Salmon's report. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was the Johnny Salmon report. I know, the moment that I hang up here, I'm going to go, oh, that's what it was. Ah,
Back, of course.
Yeah. Like econs, we can see, probably you can see we got a whole bunch of Fed speakers coming out here. Some, I guess, have already spoken. I guess maybe he's in mid-speech. I don't know. You can see Drahi's expected to speak. Is this? Yeah, this is today. So we got Bullard, we got Delay. So there's going to be a whole, oh Jesus, we got Bank of Japan governor speaking. So get ready for a lot of sort of, this Fed official says this Fed official says that, blah, 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 blah kind of stuff. And then tomorrow's econs, we got a Bank of Japan monetary policy meeting. Remember Johnny talked a little bit about that, what he's expecting there. But on balance, I think that we gave you a pretty good summary of what I see going on here. All right, I think we'll leave it at that for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Hope you got some value out of all this. Of course, never a dull moment, but as it stands right now, the Bitcoin price itself, it looks like it's just a big hurry up and wait here. So. Okay, everybody, why don't we leave it at that? Have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best. And the only thing left for Brian to say at this point is a big bye for now.